Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everyone? This is the SML podcast. I am your host, Joe. Joining as usual is Cole. Cole, how are you doing?
I am decidedly better than I could be.
And why is that?
So we're recording this a day late because on Thursday this week, my youngest, who is 6, we affectionately refer to as number 3 around here. She had an accident at school where she fell. And they called and they were like, number 3 has a small scrape. They didn't call her number 3, but we're sticking with the theme here. Number 3 has a small scrape. She fell, scraped her chin, and she's inconsolable. We don't want to put her on the bus. You should come get her.
Oh, God.
So Dia just got home from getting groceries, and we took a moment, put the rest of our groceries away. And then he goes and picks her up, and he gets there, and this small scrape is actually a 1-inch gash under her chin, and she's just pouring the blood all over the place.
Oh, God. Good thing you put the rest of the groceries away first.
Because, you know, when the school calls and says, oh, your kid has a small scrape, you don't think you're going to be in the ER immediately, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they were so nonchalant about it. And, like, Dee had answered the phone. He was the one that talked to him. And it didn't ever register to either of us that this was an emergency. You know, number 3 has had a tough time. This kid is tiny as it gets anyway. She's 6 years old. She weighs a whopping 42 pounds.
Oh, my God. She's
a blade of grass in the wind. She just peek and falls over all the time. We've gotten calls for, oh, she's got a bruise on her knee. Oh, she got a black eye once. A kid threw a chair at her. She has horrible luck. And
threw a chair?
Yeah, and gave her a black eye at school.
What the hell?
But the whole, you know, this is an emergency thing. It didn't really hit home. It's like, okay, something bad happened. She fell. She's got a scrape. Number 3, you know, just wants to come home rather than ride the bus. Because it would have been 45 minutes to get her home if she'd rode the bus. Yeah. So it took a few minutes, put the groceries away. Dee goes and gets her without thinking that it's any big deal. And yeah, it's a big-ass gash. He gets home with her. And again, I'm still not thinking it's any big deal. It's been about 20 minutes. He went,
that's a truck going by my house.
Nice.
I saw the mic pick that up.
Like the Mack truck that apparently hit my daughter in the face when she fell yesterday. We just didn't think it was any big deal. And then he gets home and again, I'm like, it's still no big deal. And he gets out of the van and he just looks at me. He goes, you have to get ready to take her to the emergency room now.
Oh boy.
And, you know, he picks her up out of her car seat and she's sitting there like holding this gauze. Love her heart. The child is made out of gunpowder and lead. She might be tiny, but whew. She goes through this whole experience. She's at the emergency room, like leaned back on the hospital bed with her legs crossed and her hands behind her head. And she's cracking jokes about telling her friends that she got in a fight with a T-Rex. And they come in, right? They do the Imla cream. She's not numb. They come back. They do some more. Still not numb. They put even more on there. They do the first stitch. And this child is she doesn't cry. She just lays there calmly and she goes, I can feel that. And he's like, yeah, you're going to feel the pressure of me moving your chin. She goes, no, it hurts. I can feel that.
Oh, God.
And it's like, oh, fantastic. Because we're gingers and it takes more anesthetic. So they were trying to avoid having to use the needle and give her a shot, which is what they ended up having to do. Thankfully, the cut was so deep and so wide that they didn't actually have to put the shot in. They could just hold it over and drip it down into it.
Oh, that's good. I guess in a way it's
in
good.
a way, yeah. But they did that once. They did 3 more stitches, and he's like, if it were an adult, I would leave it at the 4. But because she's so little, I don't want to leave a scar like that. And so he said, we really need to put at least 1 more on each side. And at this point, number 3 goes, but I still feel it. And her little lip quivers, and this is the closest she gets to crying the whole time.
Oh, man.
She goes, I just want to go home.
Aww.
And at that point, I've been holding her hand. I've been watching this whole thing. I've been taking pictures of the process. And at that point, I got a chair, and I asked for a bucket, and I vomited.
Oh, Jesus.
Because it broke my heart, and like my mom nerves kicked in at that point. And I puked. I got upset. I puked. And I never let go of her hand the whole time.
Mom,
but
you can let go. No.
Yeah. But I did have to turn away and vomit. But they did the 2 extra stitches. She set up. They discharged her, and we went to Walmart, and she proceeded to skip through the store looking like she'd been beat to death. People were looking at me a little funny at this tiny little, ginger-haired, peppy child with a hospital bracelet and fresh stitches skipping through the store talking about wanting ice cream.
Oh, God.
So yeah, she got her ice cream. She wanted ice cream and blueberry waffles. All of Walmart. And that's what she wanted. But we got her meds
whatever
filled.
makes you happy, right?
Yeah, we got her. She's doing fine. She's every now and then she'll pipe up and she'll be like, "Yeah, it's time for some medicine."
Oh, God.
But she seems to be doing okay. Beyond that, just every now and then she needs something.
That puts my week to shame.
Yeah. Your week.
All I had was a tooth extracted this week.
Are you feeling better though?
I don't know. It's getting hard to chew because I've had a couple removed already.
Yeah.
Because I like my soda.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. And our insurance doesn't pay for any kind of treatment beyond extractions for dental care for adults. Like kids, they'll do everything. But for adults, it's fuck you, we're taking it out or nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat. Like I've got a few that are gone and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start choking on shit eventually because I'm not chewing it up properly.
Yeah. Well, mine was beyond repair. They tried fixing it once and it's the one that got infected a few times. And they're like, yeah, it's time to say goodbye. So they numbed me up. And yeah, I still felt that too when they were ripping it out of my face.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Just the crunching and the crackling. I'm having horrible flashbacks. I have one that I know I need to have pulled and I can't bring myself to do it because it's one of my front teeth. I know that it's going to be absolutely miserable. I broke it in a fall when the same fall where I fucked up my leg. I hit I hit the side of my face and it chipped that tooth and broke it and it's fucked. It needs to go. But I can't bear the thought of like them fucking with it and it doesn't hurt. So as long as it doesn't hurt, I'm hardcore about it. I'm like, no, it looks awful, but I don't smile anyway, so it's fine. Oh God. On the bright side, my love of soda has paid off because I have been like swimming in awesome sodas lately.
Really?
Yes, Orange Vanilla Coke is out, and that is fantastic.
It's good. I'm going to have to try that one. Oh my God,
it's so good. And then they have Strawberry Guava Coke, Diet Coke, and that's awesome.
I don't know if I would be a fan of Strawberry Guava.
Oh, it is so good. It is so, so good.
I definitely want to try the Orange Vanilla, though.
And then best of all, Mountain Dew Baja Blast is back.
I do like Baja Blast. That is the only Mountain Dew I can hack.
And I'm drinking that right now.
I ended up grabbing a Dr. Pepper because David wasn't here to open the bottle for me. But number 3 picked out some cherry L8. And I don't know if where I talked about it last night's going to make it to the show.
I don't remember. I don't remember what we recorded.
And my dogs are carrying on.
Nice.
David's not here to stop them either.
No Time Delicious. That's my go-to at Taco Bell. I know, right? And we had Taco Bell last night too. So I had like the real Baja Blast from Taco Bell, and then I had a can of Baja Blast it tastes better in the can than it did because you're stuck using your local water supply at Taco Bell. And if the local water tastes kind of shitty, then the soda's going to taste kind of shitty. But yeah, had some Baja and had some nacho fries and a potato griller with steak added. And oh my God. Oh,
jealous.
I know. My last night was pretty awesome.
Jealous.
Not going to lie. It was delicious.
We had pizza rolls for dinner last night because that was number 3 got to pick like everything yesterday. Everybody has been all let number 3 have her way about everything for the last 24 hours. So I bet she fell on purpose just to have her way. Yeah, I think it's going to encourage negative behavior in the future. But she, like last night, we come in and number 1 and number 2 had stayed home. That's the best part of having a teenager at this point. It's like shit happens. We get to go and just deal with it. And number 1 deals with the rest back here. But we got home and number 1 had made pizza rolls for dinner. Oh, Lord. And pizza rolls. And then we had birthday cake flavored ice cream because that's what number 3 had picked out. And then we had that truck again. That was a different one because it wasn't as loud. Yeah, I don't think the mic picked that one up though, so it's just going to be. Oh, I heard nothing. It. What else was it that we had? We had the birthday cake. Oh, those little cookies with like the little rabbits and shit on the little Pillsbury break and bakes. Nah, yeah. I have no clue. Really? They're like $2. They're stupid cheap, and they're just these little sugar cookies with printed images on them. And they're cheap, but they're fine. And number 1 can make them on her own. Because you can, I say that like number 1 has turned into quite the baker. Nice. And she is handy to have around. But she had made pizza rolls and cookies and shit for when we got back with number 3. And so that was basically, I was like, look, I'm tired. I puked. I don't care. Eat whatever you want at this point. You are on your own. Good luck, little savages. Oh, Jesus. And they did fine. Well, we're 15 minutes in. We haven't talked about video games yet. We should probably get to that. We should. Decent amount of news this week. The biggest thing was there were more rumors this week with Xbox in mind, where the Xbox Maverick console will be named the Xbox One S All Digital Edition and will supposedly go up for pre-order in April, and it will be an Xbox One S without the disk drive, making it a digital exclusive machine. What do you think of that report? Hello? Remember how I said David wasn't here? Okay. He is now. Ah. I'm sorry. I'll just hold. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's getting the dog settled down. I told you, I'm not going to cut any of this. This is all staying because I am too lazy to edit and fix any of this. I was hoping like you could figure out from the silence that maybe something had happened and I needed a moment and just let it truncate silence and it would be fine. But no. No, I was worried that the call got disconnected or something. No, it was good. It was just David come in. But at least now the dogs will quit carrying on because he'll be back there with them to keep them calmed down. Dogs have separation anxiety and they carry on like hell when they're forced to be back there and not in here. So I'm sorry, but we're good now. Go ahead. The Xbox Maverick is the Xbox all digital. Yeah. What do you think of those rumors? I think it's a fantastic thing, and I don't understand why they haven't done it before now. Seriously. I understand that there's people who love their physical editions. I understand that there's people who like to have those for their collection. I understand the value to physical editions, but there are people like me too who just try to keep everything digital. And there's a risk to that. There's the potential that there's going to come a point where there's an Xbox that does not have backward compatibility, where that shit's not going to play. Yep. But I think that
Microsoft's attention to backward compatibility this generation has kind of put that to where it's a risk that's so far prolonged into the future that it's not an issue. I think even the next couple of consoles are going to feature some sort of backward compatibility to a degree that it's not going to be something where you're like, oh shit, I just plunked down $500 and can't play thousands of dollars worth of games.
Yeah.
I think they've seen the backlash PlayStation had over their limited backward compatibility, where you had to have the subscription service and everything, to the point that they're like, no, this is something we need to commit to. There was an interview a while back, it was sometime last year, where they were like, no, everything in the Xbox One ecosystem is going to work Xbox One, Xbox 360, and it did definitely seem like this was something they wanted to continue going forward. I don't remember the exact words, and I apologize for that. It's a good thing I remembered yesterday.
I don't accept your apology.
I don't give a fuck, Joe. It's International Women's Day. Everything I say is right.
Bitch. No Time for Games makes a good point here. He says, digital games are great, but I still have some Blu-ray movies, and having a Blu-ray player built in is convenient, especially when the fact that they tout the Xbox One S as a 4K Blu-ray player. And without the disc drive, it loses one of the huge features of the Xbox One S, being the most affordable 4K Blu-ray player out there.
Right. But I think that there's a big enough market for people who stream everything now that it's not maybe... It is a good feature to have. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know that it's a selling feature.
Yeah.
You know? If it was a selling feature, I don't think PlayStation would be killing it in PD. You know? So I don't think it's as big of a feature as it should be. It definitely is a selling point, but I think you can get away with it not being a selling point. I don't own any Blu-ray movies. I stream everything. I literally have a small house, and so everything being digital at this point in my life is like the most amazing thing in the world. My sister, she's like, do you want a copy of this? No, I don't. It's on disc, and I ain't got time for that. If I can't stream it, I don't have anywhere to put it. And streaming has just made shit so much easier that, to me, I would have bought an all digital over buying a regular S, because I've been like, I ain't gonna use that fucking drive, no way. I think I've used the disc drive in my S twice.
Wow.
Yeah, because the girls have physical copies of Minecraft and Assassin's Creed Origins, and that was because we didn't buy them, so we didn't have a say and to get it digitally. And so I was gonna
say, of all games to go physical, it's Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't buy them, so we didn't have a say in getting a digital copy of it.
Nice.
So beyond that, like, the rest of our library is digital. I had a physical copy of The Division, and as soon as I found the code on sale for I think I bought it for $2.74.
Oh God.
So that I could have it digitally instead. And I sent the physical copy to a friend.
Nice.
Problem solved. I don't have room for this.
Fair.
Yeah. So I would far prefer an all digital version, and I would easily pay for it.
I just see the issue where someone buys the all digital machine and Christmas comes along and grandma still buys physical copies.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Thanks, grandma. I can't use these, but thanks.
Yeah. And there's, I think the biggest thing is that for us, the only other people that do buy gifts for our kids is David's parents, and they don't buy video games. So they don't agree with them. So it's a non-issue for us. And in my head, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want an all digital version? Even though I can realize, just a moment. What was I talking about?
I don't know. We're back.
I'm sorry. Next.
Editing. Hooray. Apex Legends has hit 50 million players worldwide already, far outpacing how long it took Fortnite to get there. Mm-hmm. I still haven't played the game. I really need to.
Really? I have 2 achievements left from completion.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Apex. I did not enjoy Fortnite when I played it, which is funny. I did like PUBG, and Blackout was okay, but it wasn't particularly, like, it didn't strike my fancy. My friends liked it far better than I did, and I just was along for the ride.
I thought you were all about Blackout.
No, I played the multiplayer in Black. It's interesting, because when it comes to wanting to play Call of Duty, then I want to play Call of Duty as a 6v6 multiplayer experience, and I didn't feel like Blackout fit. And it just frustrated me, and I didn't enjoy it. I never even won. I got second a shit ton of times, but I never got a win in Blackout. And I was just like, I'm not into this one. I just can't. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. Didn't work out. But Apex, I don't know why. It sucked me in, and I've been down for it. I'm probably guilty of a shit ton of those kills that they were putting up. But the video announcing the milestones, did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
It was hilarious.
I'll have to go back and check it out.
There was you said you haven't played Apex, but there's a sawed-off shotgun, kind of like a hybrid between a shotgun and a pistol in the game, called the Mozambique. It's shitty. It's just a really crummy gun, and yet it's everywhere. I've gotten maybe 2 kills with it.
Oh God.
It's just shit. It's a shit gun. In a pinch, if you're against somebody without a gun, fine, you stand a chance, but otherwise you're fucked. And in the video, it was funny because there was actually a clip of somebody getting a kill with the Mozambique, and they were doing like random numbers rolling by, and then it comes up with 1 and a question mark, and it says 1 Mozambique kill. Like they didn't even know how it happened because the gun's so bad.
Oh God.
So it was really funny, even though I'm sitting there going, I know I got a couple, but that's funny.
Oh boy.
Maybe they'll fucking patch the Mozambique and it'll be better.
Maybe. Getting killed with the Mozambique sounds about as embarrassing as getting killed in Fortnite by someone with a default skin. Yeah.
It's pretty much the equivalent.
Which I played Fortnite with Chris last week, and I killed someone with a default skin. I can only imagine how embarrassed they were that they got killed by me. A, because I had a default skin, and B, because I'm fucking terrible at shooters.
I'm impressed that you got a kill.
I know, so was I. I ended up with like 2 out of an entire night of playing.
That's what kills me in Apex, is that you'd think, as much as I've played it, that I'd have like a shit ton of wins. And I can get second a whole lot. And I'll have games where like I'll put up 700 and 800, damage and hit points and stuff, which should easily be 5 or 6 kills, and I'll have no kills.
Oh God.
None. And you're just sitting there going, oh, come on.
Get good, scrub.
The thing with Apex is that you get knocked where you go down, and you have a shield. So the only way that counts, it doesn't count knockdowns. You can knock people down all day long and not get a kill unless you actually finish them or shoot them until they have no hit points left. And then again, you can revive dead teammates. You can grab their banner, take them to a respawn point, and respawn them.
That's neat. Yeah.
So even though you're out, you're still not out unless your timer runs out and your teammates are shitheads that won't respawn you.
So yeah, 50 million players.
It's easy to see how it got there. It is good. It's definitely one of the most polished battle royale experiences.
Well, next time you're playing and you need a third, hit me up so I could try the game.
easily, because me and Studa play it together a lot, and we're always stuck with a random. You would, even if you didn't kill anybody, you'd still be better with a random because at least you'd take a random spot.
I'd be a good decoy.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. And then if you die, we can just respawn you and you can keep being the decoy.
Yay. Let's see, what other news? A couple of games are getting added to Game Pass this month. March 6th already happened. We got Lego Batman 2 and Just Cause 4 already.
That's surprising because Just Cause 4 only came out like 3 months ago.
I know. Already it's in Game Pass.
Rapid fire. Who publishes Who publishes Just Cause?
Square Enix.
That's even more surprising.
Yeah. Well, they have a Shadow of the Tomb Raider in there, so Square's been a pretty decent partner with Xbox when it comes to non-RPGs. It's just the RPGs that they're being dicks about.
Okay.
Yeah. March 14th, we're going to see F1 2018 and Fallout 4 returning to Game Pass.
I was kind of surprised they took it out in the first place.
I think it was only in there as promotion for Fallout 76, and that didn't really do too well.
I'm just waiting to see Fallout 76 be in Game Pass.
I wouldn't be shocked at this point.
No, because they're going to need a player base.
Yeah, there's probably not many people left playing it. I love looking at prices for Xbox One X consoles. It's like $499, $499, $499, and then the Fallout 76 bundle, $399.
We actually considered buying it because we don't have an X. We only have the S.
Yeah.
And then we have the fat console. And we were looking at getting the X with our taxes, but we had too much other shit to replace and repair instead and didn't do it. But when we were like trying to squeak it out, we were like, we could buy the Division one or we could save $100.
I thought you already bought the Division, so you don't need a Division console.
Well, we don't, but I could have just gave the code to a friend.
Like me.
Yeah.
Yay.
I could have.
But you didn't.
I didn't because, I needed literally every major appliance in this house to be replaced.
Nice.
So that's where my taxes went.
Oh boy. Speaking of adding things to services, EA Access Vault got another game with NBA Live 19 being added. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then more EA news. EA is skipping on doing an E3 press conference this year and will instead have gameplay streams of their titles via their EA Play event, saying that we will see, quote, less talk and more play across the 3 days of the event. So in addition to Sony not doing a press conference, now EA's not doing a press conference.
But Devolver Digital posted on Twitter that at least they're still going to do their conference.
Oh, yes. I have that following up after the news. Devolver confirmed that they will still be doing a press conference, so expect more insanity.
I am far more giddy about Devolver still doing theirs than I am disappointed that E3 is not doing, or EA is not doing one.
Yeah, I'm not too torn up about
I'm fine
EA.
with it.
A lot of EA's events were a lot of sports stuff and esports, and it never really got me interested in their conferences. Like every now and then they would have something cool to look at, but I'm not going to miss EA. I'm not.
No, I'm fine with it. Microsoft seems to be going whole hog though on E3.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they got to offer.
I'm sure it's going to be a big event for Microsoft. They need a big event after the past couple of years. They need something huge, and this is their year to really, I don't know, set the world on fire. We'll see.
I want to see all those studio acquisitions pay off.
Yeah, me too, definitely. But last bit of news I have is that Sony has brought a remote play app to iPhone and iPad. So now you can play your PS4 games on your iPhone. And I did it. It worked really well. There wasn't really that much lag. It was smooth. The connection was great. It sucks having to use a touch screen with buttons. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of rough trying to get used to. I wish that there was a way that you can hook up a controller to your iPhone or iPad and play that way, but sadly you're stuck using it on screen.
if you have Bluetooth, can't you connect an Xbox Bluetooth controller?
I don't think so. I don't think it works. But that would be awesome if you could play PlayStation games with an Xbox controller.
I implore you to test this.
I will see what I could do.
Okay. Yeah, that's your homework. You have to report back next week, and then I'll forget to even ask you about it.
Yeah, I know. We always do that. You have homework for this week, and we just never talk about it again.
Yep.
Latino Heat in chat is asking our thoughts on the all-digital Xbox, which we covered already, but I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's a good option for people out there who want an all-digital option, but it's something that I personally would never do because of my movie collection and how many physical copies of games I own. It's just not something that I could do.
I think it's great. I'm curious what the price on it would be, and because it could be a good entry point for people who aren't necessarily sure that they're going to be playing a whole lot of games, or maybe they've already got another console and they don't want to take up the space with more, physical games, but this gives them an opportunity to put a small console, a small Xbox on their TV stand, and maybe they fall in love.
Yeah, sell a discless console, discless, not dickless. Sell a discless console with a year of Game Pass for $199, and you're going to do awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd pay for it.
But yeah, that's the news that I have. Anything on your end?
No, I had something and then I forgot what it was, and it looks like I lost it. I still have I had already, I had the thing up about the PlayStation remote and then just forgot it from there. So, yeah, well, good. GG me.
Yeah, GG no re.
Oh, there was that other one. I feel so wrong talking about this on International Women's Day, though. Did you see the controversy with Steam with that
the rape game?
The Rape Day game.
Yeah.
And whether or not they were going to approve it.
Yeah, I don't think the world needs rape games.
No.
I think we could do without those.
There are stories that are told where rape is an element of the story. And I think it can be an important story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But a visual novel with generic freebie assets for the purpose of acting out on rape fantasies.
Yeah, fuck that.
It's not necessary. And it kind of bothers me that Steam is just not even like, no, we don't need this. Like, I don't know why it's even going through an approval process. Like, just look at that shit and say you don't need that on that's on your platform.
Yeah. That should be open and shut case. Not that difficult at all. Just, no, we don't need that. The end.
Yeah. And there are people who are pitching a fit that it should be allowed.
Well, fuck them.
A lot of people. I think to an extent, you fully expect that there are going to be the edgelords out there who are going to, whether they're playing devil's advocate or they genuinely believe that we need these kind of games in our ecosystem, they exist, and and you expect it. But I think I was genuinely surprised by how many there were flocking to defend this game.
I need my rape fantasies in video games.
Yeah. The worst thing is that the argument is like, well, girls weren't going to play it anyway. It wasn't made for them. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Guys get raped too, and it's still horrible. We don't need to be promoting and encouraging rape in games. Yeah. We just don't.
I agree. That's a crazy thing to go out on, but yes, I agree that rape is not good and we should not glorify it. I know that's a crazy stance.
Have to say that.
I know.
We shouldn't even have to say that.
That some people, I don't fucking know. Crazy people out there.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of them in the gaming community.
Yeah, sad.
What the hell? Okay, next. Anyway,
you ready for reviews?
Yes.
All right. What?
Tino said thoughts on memory 8 terabyte. Do you know what he's talking about?
No clue.
Neither. I'm sorry. If you can, give me some kind of details. We'll cover it after the review, since Joe can not edit that. But
your thoughts on maybe your thoughts on getting an 8 terabyte hard drive for your console?
I mean, it would depend on price and stuff, because it's not something you can't do anyway. You can buy one of those little, I don't know, I call them toasters. They're little hard drive docks that are like $20 and they're USB powered. Oh, the all digital console would have 8 terabyte.
I think if you're going all digital, you're going to need minimum 2 terabyte.
Yeah, you really would. I've got one, and I'm constantly deleting shit.
I think 8 terabyte is kind of overkill. A lot of people think that all games these days are massive and huge and take up all this space.
No.
It depends on the games that you're playing. I have a 4 terabyte hard drive that not only has all of my Rock Band stuff on it, which is 2,600 songs, but I have 1,300 games just on the 4 terabyte drive because they're all indies. Yeah.
I have a 500 gig internal, and then I have a 500 gig external solid state. I keep what I call my daily driver games. the shit that I know my friends are gonna holler at me to play at some point. So The Division, Ark, The Division 2, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Apex, things like that are multiplayer, that are large games. I keep those on the solid state drive. But then for the indies, and we hear how much I review in a week, and that's not even all of them. I keep those just on the regular internal drive, and I'm swapping out, games left, right, and center. Plus, David keeps his construction simulator and spin tires, mud runner, and shit like that on. And I mean, we're usually only ever at about 60%, and that's with 1 terabyte total.
Yeah.
So. I mean, yeah, I delete and reinstall a lot, but we don't have data cap, so that's not an issue for me.
Well, that's good. He's asking how much memory will the Microsoft console offer if the all-digital console. We don't know. It's all rumor at this point. We don't even know if it's a real thing.
If I speculated, I would speculate it probably has 1 terabyte, but it should have 2.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I think Microsoft might cheap out. It's not even cheaping out just because it's so easy to buy an external and just plug it in.
Like, you can literally buy a $20 Western Digital and plug it in, and it'll work.
Yeah. Or in my case, you could have 3 externals plugged in.
I would if I could.
Well, you could.
I mean, if I financially could.
Oh, okay. And the craziest thing is I need to upgrade my 4 terabyte to another 8 terabyte. Because I'm running low on space.
I believe it. I only have about half of the games that you do, and I'd be pretty pressed for space.
Yeah, it's pretty nutso. But yeah, you ready for reviews?
Yep, let's go.
Actually, before we get to the reviews, we have a little bit of breaking news. What are you yelling at?
Sorry, I just got tickled about something.
What the hell are you all giggly about?
Sorry. It's fine. A little bit of news. Go ahead.
A little bit of breaking news. We just found out, Major Nelson just announced this on Twitter, that Crackdown 2 is not only backward compatible right now, but it's available for free to download. So that is pretty awesome news. Just came out of nowhere on Friday. So, yeah, a little bit of last minute news that we got.
Did they say how long it's going to stay free to download, or is it just like perma-free?
I have no clue. I didn't see any details on it. But now are we ready for reviews?
Yes, now we're good.
Okay. Sorry. First game that we're here to talk about tonight is called Dead or Alive 6, developed by KOEI TECMO Games and Team Ninja, published by KOEI TECMO America, released March 1st on Xbox One, Steam, and PS4 for $59.99. Dead or Alive 6 is a fast-paced 3D fighting game produced by KOEI TECMO Games, featuring stunning graphics and multi-tiered stages that create a truly entertaining competitive experience. Checking this one out. Jacob Garner is here. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll leave then.
So how is Dead or Alive 6?
It's pretty fucking awesome. Like, I was going in there with pretty high hopes, and I was actually still blown away.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, the graphics look gorgeous. I can't imagine how they'd look on 4K. Like, it's got to be even better. The fighting controls feel great on an Xbox One, which I was really surprised by because I'll be honest, like I've got a bunch of fighting games for the Xbox One and also the Xbox 360 even, and almost none of them feel like right on the controller. Like it's pretty much like one of the things that I don't like about the 360. Well, the Xbox controller, I should say, is that it's just like it's never felt right or intuitive for fighting games. But Dead or Alive 6, honestly, like everything feels right. It feels fluid. It feels natural. And the game really makes an effort to reach out, like, to not only like veterans of fighting games, but also if you're like a rookie, with it. It's just really well put together. I mean, like the tutorials are exhaustive. Like, I mean, but the game wants you to learn its mechanics. So not only do you have the tutorials, but you've also got this thing called DOA quest, which, like, I mean, you know how other fighting games, like, they'll have, like, missions that you have to do? Like, you know, Soul Calibur is like, you know, you can only use guards, and you can only hit their left arm. And, of course, like, if you haven't done it by the end of time, it's like, you lose, and you get, like, no money. DOA, at least, like, it gives you 3 objectives with every single mission, and one of them is beat the shit out of your opponent. So
always good.
Well, the thing is that even if you don't like succeed at the other stuff, you know, you at least walk away feeling like, all right, well, at least I kicked the crap out of the guy. And on top of it, the game will then like present you with like, hey, would you like to see the tutorial on how to get like that like is involved with that objective? Like, do you want to learn about how to do like mid-level throws? Do you want to learn about how to do like certain combos? Like, I thought it was a really awesome, inviting way of, you know, getting everyone more involved into the game. God, there's a lot of content to cover in the game.
Well, start at the beginning.
Well, there's the story mode, which doesn't always make sense. I mean, DOA's story, I don't feel like has ever truly made sense. I mean, it's coherent, but it never felt realistic because, you know, it's always like, you know, Doatech is going to, you know, build the ultimate fighter, and it's built out of, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, when you really think about it, Dead or Alive was probably one of the best video game movies based on its own source material.
People could shit on that movie all they want. I love DOA, the movie. Cole, have you seen it?
I didn't even know there was one.
Oh, my God. You have to track that down and watch it.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's like Enter the Dragon. Like, I think they actually sold it as Enter the Dragon meets Charlie's Angels.
Wow.
It's pretty awful, but it's amazing.
I don't know if I'd say it's awful. It's fun. It's campy fun. All right, but anyway, going back to the video game. The story is presented in chunks, and I mean, like, this isn't like a bad thing, but like, I thought it was kind of annoying. They parse out like the different sections, and so it's like you'd have like chapters like 1 through like 6 or something like that, but they're broken up by different fighters events in each chapter, and so you'd have like you'd move through the storyline, but then it would unlock previous parts of other chapters that you didn't have access to before. So like, let's say that you're technically on chapter 4. After you won a fight, all of a sudden it would lock something from Hayabusa up in like chapter 2. So you'd have to go back and then find out. I mean, yeah, I guess it gives more life to it, but you know, I don't know. It was just kind of annoying. But at the same time, like, I was kind of surprised with how coherent the story was. And on top of it, there's really only one ending to it. Like, I'm really used to like how, you know, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur, you have to wait until the next entry to find out how the previous game actually ended. DOA, meanwhile, just like, it's like, well, this is how it ended. You got to choose one of 3 fighters that you fight as, but, you know, the ending's still the same no matter what. Which I thought was really nice. So let's see. I've covered story, quest mode, online multiplayer, of course, is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Granted, I was only playing it in its first week. Oddly, this game launched on a Friday, which I thought was kind of weird. A
lot of games are doing that lately. We're getting a lot of Friday releases anymore.
Well, I mean, it was just kind of weird, like, because the thing is that there weren't, I actually struggled to find somebody to play against, online that first weekend. It actually took me a few tries, I think, because I had messaged you, Joe, and I was just like, yeah, there's like nobody online. And then like, as soon as I messaged you, somebody finally did pop online. So, I mean, like, and it was fun. It was exciting going up against somebody, especially since I won, which I didn't expect to be able to do because I'm not the best at fighting games, but, you know, hey, I mean, screw it, I won. Hooray. So there's that. And then there's like an encyclopedia mode, and there's trivia stuff, which like gives you like all sorts of backstory, like extra backstory to what you're going with. And then
I love when games have trivia shit in it. It's such a cool touch.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else to talk about with it. Sorry.
Are you dying?
Nasty.
No, I still just have like the same sinus infection.
Sweet.
From forever.
Yeah.
You could blame Cole. She gets everyone sick.
True.
Yeah, even though I've never actually like met Cole in person, she probably still is the one that got me sick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I share it over the internet.
Yeah.
Like a that's what a virus really is. It's just me sneezing on the keyboard.
You sneeze on the phone line.
Mm-hmm.
It just travels.
Yep.
Remember dial-up, kids?
But so the only honestly, the only downsides I really had to it is like the DLC is ridiculously priced for the season pass.
Well, it's DOA. DOA is notorious for their insane amount of costumes, and like DOA 5 last round has 7 season passes of costumes only, each one ranging from like $76 to $93. And there's 7.
I get that, and I think that's actually kind of neat, but at the same time, I don't know, man. It's just like you're playing with like a super incomplete game. I mean, like, and I know Capcom does it too with Street Fighter. But I mean, it was like, it's day one and you're already, but at the same time, also the season pass, you're also like missing 2 fighters. So you're already you're already playing with an incomplete roster.
Well, the DLC fighters, those are going to be future releases. I don't think the 2 DLC fighters are out yet.
I thought they were.
Could be wrong.
Whatever. So there was that. And then also, like the stages look really nice. I mean, I was really impressed by them, like pretty much in terms of like size. But at the same time, I don't like I was impressed by them technical wise, but at the same time, like the areas, I was never really blown away by like how they looked. Cause I think there's only like 5 or so different arenas that you're really ever fighting in. And it's just, you know, like DOA is known for its multi-tiered stuff, like, and some of them are pretty fun. Like there's one that's obviously a riff on Jurassic Park, and also there's another one that's set on a boat, which has like this huge squid that can grab your opponent.
That is amazing.
I know, those are pretty fun, but it's just like the other stages I was kind of like about. So it's just like that's really like that's really my only gripe about it. I mean, I'm not thrilled with the DLC prices, but really it was just like the stages. I think they could have been done better. I mean, I don't know. It's just like they look beautiful and like they're impressive in like how they're built. But at the same time, I really wasn't blown away. Like,
just wish there were more.
Yeah, like some more variety would have been nice, I think. So, but yeah.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Cole, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Nothing at all?
Nope. I am totally useless.
I mean, yeah, but...
Honesty is the best policy.
Very true. Well, then, Jacob, overall, $60 on DOA 6. What do you think of it?
Definitely. Absolutely. I loved it. Like, it's definitely a game I'm going to be returning to often.
Going to keep it on your hard drive?
Yeah, I actually will be keeping this one on my hard drive.
That's impressive. Since you only have, what, a 500?
Yeah. Although at the same time, it doesn't really take up that much. So that's not so bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob, it's always a pleasure having you on chatting about this stuff. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
No, not really.
You're really useful.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, then we're letting you go.
Oh, okay. I thought you already did.
No.
Oh, so this is really just going to be like us babbling in dead air?
I mean, we have more reviews to take care of. I was just trying to see if you had anything useful to say.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like, I feel like I'm missing something in my DOA review. Oh, shit. Now I remember what I wanted to talk about in the review. The character models. Oh my God, those things are gorgeous. I mean, not only the women, but like the actual character models. Granted, I think I haven't played a DOA game since like the Xbox 360, but it's just like the amount of details, like the sweat that's actually coming off of their bodies. If like you knock somebody into like something that explodes, there's carbon on their face. Like if you punch somebody hard enough, their sunglasses fly off. It's just like all these little details. Like it looks so nice. It is so beautiful. Like it's just a really fucking well-made game. Like there's no two ways about it. Yeah, I just like the game impressed me through and through. I mean, as I said, the only downside is I wish there was more variety to the stages.
Yeah. All right. Well, overall, it sounds really good.
I did come up with something useful at the end.
You did. I'm so proud of you.
Yay! I'm going to make a CD of this podcast and hang it right up on the fridge.
Next game to talk about is called Overload, developed and published by Revival Productions, released March 6th on Xbox One and PS4 for $29.99. A new 6 Degree of Freedom shooter with intuitive controls, amazing lighting, and graphics. From the creators of Descent, Overload is the best zero-gravity robot blasting combat ever. Cole, tell us about this one.
So I think from a studio named Revival Productions. Fuck, I can't talk already. Revival Productions.
Blame Jacob.
Yeah, fucking Jacob did it. From a studio named Revival Productions, you're pretty much going to expect a game with a nostalgia factor to it. I don't feel like there's been a whole lot of 6 Degree of Freedom shooters since the 90s. They were far more popular back then. You don't see a whole lot of them nowadays. So this was kind of refreshing, but also it had that nostalgia effect to it. You're like, I know what I'm doing and I know how to play this, but it feels different because you haven't played something like this in 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
30 years? God damn it, it's been 30 years since the 90s. A long time. Shit.
My back hurts.
Yeah, same. So Overload is unapologetic in its efforts to use the retro 6 Degrees of Freedom gameplay that we used to know and love, and yet it still feels like a modern game. You don't pick it up and play it and like, okay, well, this came out of 1992. You feel like you're playing any other kind of first-person shooter where you're flying in a ship and maneuvering around. It moves smoothly. The controls are bound to the controller very well. Everything feels intuitive, but it does suffer from. In art, it's what we would call same face syndrome. But in a video game, it's more like same scenery syndrome, if you will. Everything kind of looks the same. There's a lot of metallic, retro, and industrial kind of look to the scenery, and occasionally you dip off and go exploring through like these caves that are kind of carved out by lava, and it's all just stone and dirt. And so you're either in the middle or in the dirt, in the middle, in the dirt. And there's not a whole lot of shifting beyond that.
And it is very, very easy to get lost or disoriented.
Yeah. I will say that the ability to use the little holo droid, that is the best navigational tool I have ever seen in a game. It knows if you're not following it and will come back looking for you and be like, you dumbass, you got lost. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't have any even like text.
It could.
It could. It implies that it knows you're an idiot.
Hey, dipshit, over here.
Yeah, it will literally keep coming back and going forward, coming back, going forward. Like, you're not fucking following me, jackass. Let's go. That is every game needs that holo droid.
Yes.
And the best part of it is you can give it commands and tell it what you're lost and looking for. You need a security key. It will take you straight to a goddamn security key. Now you don't know how to get to the exit? Bitch, this way.
I would love it if, like, every time you asked it a command, it just went,
Right. It was a little bit of a missed opportunity in making the holo droid a little smart ass.
Jesus, again? All right, follow me.
Maybe it could have even took like the Pathfinder, a page out of Pathfinder's book from Apex. You haven't played Apex, so you don't understand this reference, but anybody else that has played will. Pathfinder is like overwhelmingly optimistic and cheerful, even when he kills you.
Oh, God.
And so, like, it's snarky, but it's said in like this super saccharine way. So it doesn't seem to cut as bad. And in a way, it cuts worse because it just pours salt in as it goes.
Because it's so happy.
Yeah, and you're like, this way, friend. And you're like, no, fuck you. I don't want to go that way.
I'm not your friend, buddy. Not your buddy, pal. Not your pal guy.
I understood this reference. I don't understand the reference. I've just heard it said so many times that I know. I know the line. But anyway, I love that droid, and that droid needs to be in everywhere, because without it, you're suffering from same scenery syndrome, and you're gonna get lost. Especially given the fact that you can rotate your ship's direction and pivot the way that you're looking, so it makes getting lost even worse. Because you're like, I think I should be going up, and then you rotate, and you're like, oh wait, which direction is up? I don't even know how to get there anymore.
I was watching Carnage stream the game, and he was just upside down so much. He's like, why is there lava on the ceiling? It's like, no,
You're
man.
You're upside down, dumbass.
You're flying upside down.
Yeah. And there are little indicators to help you rotate yourself and know which way you should be oriented. You know, lava on the ceiling would be a good clue that you're upside down, for example. Yeah. There are also, even in the areas that are like super industrial looking, there's arrows pointing, you know, up or down or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can orient yourself, and there are screens, and if the text is upside down, rotate. If you can't see what the screen says, rotate.
I think even the A button sets you to it writes you. It
might. I always just used X and flipped around till I was right side up.
Maybe it was X then. I know one of the buttons just sets you the proper like your right side up. Yeah. So anyway, what's in the game?
So ships that will shoot the shit out of you. So this is basically like a flying shooter. There's not a whole lot else to it beyond that. You do have the objective of like trying to find keys or find upgrades or whatever, and getting the fuck out of these missions alive. But there will be other ships flying around that you're gonna want to take out. You're gonna have a plethora of different types of weapons that you can choose from. There are ways to upgrade your ship so that you can make it more compatible with your playstyle. I did find that the upgrade system was a little overwhelming, and I didn't ever really know what to choose. Thankfully, there's an auto upgrade.
Oh, nice.
And I would just press that and let it do whatever it wanted, and I would deal with the consequences.
You pick.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't mind. Just go for it. Anything that's going to make me pew pew faster. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. There's also multiple difficulty levels. Some of them are insanely hard. I'm a whiny bitch. I stayed in training mode. And even still, I didn't die, but there were just a shit ton of enemies to have to contend with in the later levels, even on the easier modes. Because there are like, I forget the proper term for it, but there are like little 3D printer kind of that will print out more ships just constantly, just as fast as you can kill them. And you're like, great, it's a never-ending onslaught unless you destroy those printer-like things. So it can be difficult even if you're playing on easy modes. But if you're auto upgrading, then you're fine because you probably got a million different guns to choose from anyway, so you don't care. So missions are pretty short and sweet. Especially if you're following the droid and not asking it to go find the secrets and stuff. If you're just like, go in, get a key, get the fuck out. Unfortunately, that means that it does get a little repetitive if you're not purposely going in with, okay, I'm going to look for upgrade points. I'm going to look for the secrets or additional weapons or whatever. If you're just playing through it without trying to actually explore, then you're going to fly through and be like, that's it. And that's kind of a rough way to play.
Yeah, you want to explore in a game like this.
You really do.
If you can.
Otherwise, you're going to be in and out of the missions in like 2 minutes and you're going to feel a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Solo aside, there is also multiplayer. I got hung up in the whole I play early and that's just the way it goes, and there wasn't anybody there.
Yeah.
But for multiplayer, you do have a lot of options. There's 1v1, 4v4, and then 8-player free-for-alls.
Nice.
And you get to set up your ship and go into it and just blast away and fight it out with other people, which I assume would be a blast if I could have found somebody. Now that the game is out, so there's probably a little more of a base for the multiplayer. It's just that when I played, it wasn't there because
Pre-release, hooray.
Yeah, that's just the way that cookie crumbles, and I apologize.
Yeah.
But as far as playing the campaign and everything goes, I just had a lot of fun. Even though it gets a little repetitive at times, and it can seem a little monotonous with everything looking the same, it was still a lot of fun. I just still wanted to go in and like hold the trigger and shoot everything.
Yeah. I do want to throw out a negative in addition to how easy it could be to get lost in the game or disoriented. People who suffer from motion sickness should absolutely avoid this game because it got me super quick.
Did you go in and turn like the camera shake and stuff off and the scan lines and all that? Wow. Yes. Yeah. So sometimes, especially if there's scan lines and things like that, that will fuck me up. So I did go into the settings and I did adjust a lot of the screen shake and camera wobbles and just anything I thought could throw me off.
Yeah, it got me super quick. My stomach was not feeling that great playing Overload, and I just sucked at the game in general, so I guess it was a sign.
Really?
I got lost. I got disoriented. I couldn't aim. I was feeling nauseous. It's just, I could see all the positives in the game. It just physically for me, I was having a hard time with it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks because I really did enjoy it and I would even give it a buy it. I had a lot of fun.
I would give it a try it, but if you have motion sickness, avoid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Next game to talk about is called Fimbul, developed by Zaxis, published by EuroVideo, released February 28th on Xbox One, Switch, PC, and PS4 for $29.99. Fimbul is a single-player comic book action-adventure set in the final winter before Ragnarok, the Fimbul Winter. You play as an old berserk traveling to Jotunheim to fulfill his destiny, battling trolls and Jotuns to reclaim an ancient artifact that just might, save Midgard. Cole, tell us about it.
Okay. You ever heard the phrase, looks can be deceiving?
Yes.
This game is gorgeous. There's an incredible art style. There are some scenes where the scenery and just with the music coupled together will literally take your breath away. You are playing, it's basically a Viking adventure with a whole lot of Norse mythology. And it's told in cutscenes that include both comic scenes and silent 3D animated cutscenes. And then that's about where the good parts end. And I'm so sad because if you're just looking at it and you're listening to it and everything, you're like, wow, this looks like it's going to be an incredible experience. And yeah, okay, it's Norse mythology and it's all characters you've heard of before with Odin and Ragnarok trying to stop it and everything. It's not anything that's going to shake your world as far as that goes. The story is compelling enough with, brother versus brother and the civil war going on and everything. It's intriguing. It just doesn't play well.
In what ways?
You would think that the combat, if you watch the trailers for this game, they make the combat look like it's super fluid, like you're comboing and you're going to have to really, think about how you're going to go into these battle situations. And then when you actually play, it's just spam X. There's the potential for the combos and stuff, and they just feel incredibly unnecessary, and it's basically just spam X and try not to get hit in the back.
Yeah, because the AI is kind of cheap. It does surround you a lot, and it makes keeping a combo up pretty difficult. But
yeah, and trying to actually, switch back and forth between using your swords and using your shields, and trying to actually rack up any kind of impressive combo of a combat sequence like you would see in those trailers. It's just wasting your time. You're not actually gonna do it to any kind of meaningful degree unless you spend countless hours just working at it. If you're just playing it for the experience and the story, you're just gonna smash X, don't get hit, and keep going. This is made a million times worse when it comes to boss fights. And I was incredibly disappointed with how the boss fights play out. The boss fucking cheat to start with. They will get combos going and just smash you into the ground. And the animation for your character don't ever ask me to pronounce his name. I can't do it. I'm sorry. The animations for the character takes so long for him to go from being knocked down on the ground to being back up and ready to fight again. It's literally 7 or 8 seconds that you're just waiting. And the whole time the enemy, the boss AI is just starting to wail into you again. And then you're dead. Like they hit you once, and because they just start comboing on you and it takes you so long to get back into control, you can't fight against it. So if you don't manage to keep up the throw an attack, run away, throw an attack, run away, you're fucked. That's your only hope. And when you die and you start over, you have to go through that whole cutscene before the fight all over again, and there's no way to skip it. You can literally spend a minute and a half, 2 minutes just going through the motions of getting your ass whooped, watching the cutscene, waiting to have control again, get your ass whooped.
Oh boy.
Watch the cutscene. And I think I did it 10 or 12 times just on the first boss alone. And I'm like, you would get him down to these tiny little increments of having life left. And then you would just slip because you'd been at this. The fight lasts way too long. You do incredibly too little damage.
Yeah, damage sponge bosses are never fun.
And then he catches you once and it's all over. Here you go again. It was so incredibly frustrating. There is an illusion in the game that you make decisions whether you're going to let a boss live or die. And it seems like that's going to have an effect. You can even travel back and change your decision, but it doesn't really have the effect that you think it's going to. It doesn't pan out in any kind of meaningful way. It's just kind of more like filler. Like you can go back and do it again, and you have to if you want the achievements.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any real meaning in the end anyway. And that's incredibly disappointing. It is nice to be able to hit the timeline and jump back and change your decisions without having to like restart and having a whole nother playthrough of the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but beyond the achievement, why? You know,
Yeah.
why do I want to go put myself through the hell of that boss a second time? And it is hell, plain and simple. I think if it controlled better, I wouldn't mind it so bad. But it is just so
Clunky.
chunky and clunky and just, it's inconvenient. It's really inconvenient. There are some other visual quirks. I was in a building and snow was kicking up off my shoe. But the gameplay itself being so cheap and clunky is by and large a far bigger issue.
How would you fix the game? What would you do to improve it?
Definitely have to lower the time to kill on the bosses. I don't think they necessarily need to be made easier, but you've got to lower that time to kill. And the time to recover from taking damage is just excessive. That definitely. Like I don't think it would be so bad maybe if you had some invincibility frames or something in there. Fine, make it to where he's an older dude. Make it to where he's got to roll over and stand up slowly. Fine. But don't let him get the shit beat out of him in the boss at the exact same time just because you have no other choice.
Yeah.
That's definitely my biggest complaint about it.
It sounds like some minor tweaks could improve the game drastically. So we could always hope to see a patch on this to improve things. And if we do see one, we're more than happy to revisit it. But as it stands, $30 on it, what's your thoughts?
I give it a deny it. And I want to love it. I think it's an interesting story, but it's just so clunky and hard to play that you're lost on it. And given that it's only a 4 or 5 hour experience for $30, and most of that's because you're stuck fighting to do shit over and over again.
Yeah.
It's not, it's overpriced. And I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. If this was a $20 game, I could see it getting a try it.
I think there were several moments where I was really in awe in some of the visuals, and I even just stopped and took screenshots just because I could, because they were so pretty. And then the audio is fantastic when there is the music. It's just incredible, and they work well together. But man, the gameplay itself is just so rough.
Well, hopefully they'll refine it in patches. Hopefully they take the feedback and run with it, but I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I think that might be my first deny it this year. And
yeah, we don't give many of them, so it's a shame when it happens, but
at that price, it's just not forgivable to be that rough.
Yeah. Anyway, next game to talk about is called Bonds of the Skies, developed by Hit-Point, published by KEMCO, released March 1st on Xbox One and Windows 10 for $14.99 as a Play Anywhere title. March 7th on Switch, PS4, and Vita for $12.99. The young Eel, or Isle, I still don't know how to say his name.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Is in the middle of his coming of age ceremony when suddenly his town is attacked by a demon and engulfed in flames. In the midst of the confusion, he enters into a pact with the air Grimoa, Midgard, in order to save everyone. The two set off to look for the demon who cast the town into a sea of flames and to find other Grimoas in order to put a stop to the violence. Cole, tell us about this one.
That is really it in a nutshell. So it is a JRPG type of game. It has basically every aspect you would expect in a JRPG, both bad and good. In a way, it can feel a little generic, and not necessarily bad generic, just kind of average. There's nothing about this game that makes it stand out from any other RPG that you're going to play.
Which I guess is one of the downfalls of KEMCO titles, because they all feel kind of similar.
Right.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing in my eyes as someone who's a fan of these RPGs.
Like if you like the way that KEMCO sets up their RPGs, you're not going to be disappointed. Like, this is exactly what you should expect. And that's fine, but it's also not rattling the genre in any way. And it can almost be a little forgettable, you know?
Yeah.
It's very I feel like all these things make it sound negative. It's not necessarily bad. It's just that it's average.
Yeah, like I said, if you're into RPGs, retro RPGs like me, it's going to do a lot more for you than someone who's not really into the genre. And
I did enjoy it. I'm not sitting in any way trying to insinuate I didn't have a good time with it. I think that as far as RPGs go, this was definitely one that was more beginner friendly. You can easily get overwhelmed with options and possibilities in RPGs, especially the ones that are retro inspired. But I felt that this one was far more beginner friendly. There were a lot of opportunities for how you could customize the way that your party played. You could pick different characters. Part of your experience in finding the Grimoas, which are the gods in this world, is that only certain people can see them, and those people are referred to as partners. And when you find partners, you can add them to your party, as well as mix and match the Grimoas with the partners for different outcomes. The types of abilities that are unlocked depend on who you're playing with. And so you want to set up your party in a way that it's going to be conducive to you. But one thing that I did find, and again, it's not a negative, but you can pretty much mix and match anybody and everybody and go into battle and do fine. And in a way, now if you're a hardcore JRPG fan and you're used to playing the ones that really require a lot of thought and careful planning of your party, you might be a little disappointed. But for me, it was a difficulty bar that was lowered, that it made it just more
approachable.
Yeah. I felt like I couldn't fuck it up if I went in and was switching my party around. I knew I was still going to go into a battle and I was going to do fine. In a way, I was a little over-leveled very quickly, but it wasn't necessarily a negative. One thing that I did like in the combat system, it's you don't see your party. You have their names at the bottom, and there's your enemies. It's almost like a first-person perspective in that regard.
It's like the old Dragon Quest games.
Yeah. So there's different slots for where the enemies are and where you are. And your character is going to do better if they're hitting the ones that are directly in front of them. So it was neat because when you get a little further along, the enemies will start to shuffle around, and you need to move your characters around to get the most out of your attacks. Even still, I was a little over-leveled, and the times that I forgot to do that, I was still going to kick everybody's ass, and it was fine. It just might have took me a couple extra hits. But that accessibility in it was definitely appreciated on my part, because I can get overwhelmed, and I start to focus on min-maxing shit, and then lose sight of the actual game.
Yeah.
And so this was just, like I said, it was far more approachable. It was easier to just be like, it doesn't matter if I'm getting the most out of everybody. I'm still just going to kick ass and go.
I will say I do have an issue with some difficulty spikes in the game. Some of the boss fights are unbelievably difficult for where they are in the game. This is one of the few KEMCO RPGs where I actually bought some of the extra DLC to make the game somewhat easier. Like I bought the triple XP, and I bought the perk that refills your HP and cures all status effects after battles, just to help with some of the boss fights.
Yikes. It was funny because there's one part where there's an NPC and he's literally like, if you go to the west, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
And then I kept forgetting, and I kept going to the west, and I kept getting my ass kicked. And I'm like, I don't understand why I can go over here and kill everything with one hit. And I go over there, and I don't even get to push a button.
Yeah.
It's there's no line in the sand, and it's just, you have to remember, don't go that way.
Yeah.
So it can definitely take you from I'm overpowered to I'm a baby in a crib very quickly.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, some of the difficulty spikes in the game are pretty rough. One of the other issues I had is the way the battles take place is when you're walking around on the map, all your characters will stop and it'll fade out.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm moving to a new area, but no, it's you get a now loading and then the battle starts. And it was just super jarring when I first started the game, how that would happen. I got used to it as the game went on, but just at the start, it was very jarring to have it fade to black and then load up the battle. I would have preferred if they just like froze the screen and then transitioned to the battle instead of getting that loading screen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first few times I was like, shit, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then it's a battle and I'm like, shit, what do I do? And then I figured it out and you move on and you're fine. But it does take a little adjusting, getting used to.
Yeah. But one more thing with the overpowered bosses, I am actually at the final boss of the game. My characters are all level 99. My Grimoas are all level 20.
Show off.
And I am getting wrecked. Absolutely fucking wrecked to this final boss. And I have no clue if I'm going to actually beat the game.
You should have bought. You should have bought all of the other DLC stuff.
I've been considering dropping the $5 for the double damage just for this final boss fight.
It's probably going to be necessary. It really is. And I think that's kind of a shame. That's one of those mobile elements that's just been ported in with it. And I feel like you should be able to unlock those without jumping the money.
See, I don't have a problem with having stuff like that in the game. It's just meant to speed it up and make things easier for the player who doesn't have a lot of time, which I don't mind shortcuts like that. It's just, it shouldn't feel like a requirement to have to get them to be able to progress through the game in certain points, which it kind of felt like that with this one to me, where it just felt somewhat necessary. You know, you get transmogrified into a poncho how many times, and if you don't have that perk to fix yourself after battle, you're going to just blow all your money on potions to fix yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
I have spent a lot of money fixing myself.
That said, I do love this game. It's the first KEMCO RPG in a while that I made it all the way to the end. I poured a ton of hours into the game. I had a lot of fun with it. And if it weren't for the need to, you know, if it didn't feel like I needed to pay extra for some of those perks, I would give this an easy buy it. And technically it's an RPG on Xbox One, so I'm giving it a buy it anyway. Because I'm a dick. And I think you should support JRPGs on Xbox One. But in all honesty, I would give this one a recommend to try it.
Yeah, I give it a try it as well. I think, like I said, my biggest hitch to it is I didn't feel that it stood out, and that it's easily, that could just be in my instance where we play a lot of these, and I feel like it doesn't have anything that makes it go, oh, you gotta play this one. But I did enjoy it.
See, instead of I gotta play this one, just play all of them and you're set.
Play all of them because
support JRPGs on Xbox One.
But I do think it's enjoyable. I do like the whole concept, even if there's a lot of generic ideas as far as, oh, it's an orphan, and oh, it's this coming of age, and oh, now somebody attacked the village, because somebody always fucking attacks the village on an important day. You know, the whole concept of the Grimoas and needing the partners who could only see them and having to find them. I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, just a little fine tuning, and maybe don't make us pay to get through it.
Yeah.
But I do give it a try.
Cool. All right. Next game to talk about is called Kathy Rain, developed by Clifftop Games, published by Raw Fury, released back in 2016 on Steam, and is available for $14.99. Set in the 90s, Kathy Rain tells the story of a strong-willed journalism major who has come to terms with her own troubled past as she investigates the mysterious death of her recently deceased grandfather. DarkMika covered this one, wrote in a review, and here's what she's got to say. Kathy Rain is a small-time paranormal mystery point-and-click game. You play as the titular Kathy Rain as a pisspot of a college student. You come back to your dorm one day after huffing paint or something to pass out in bed. But before you can, your extremely religious roomie informs you that someone with your last name died recently. Oh no, Grandpapa. So you head home for the first time in around 15 years to go to his funeral the following morning. Turns out he's been in a vegetative state for a great many years, but no doctor could figure out why. So you, with your shitty personality, complete lack of any medical knowledge, propensity for doing bad things, and your kick-ass motorcycle, decide to get to the bottom of what an old now deceased man.
Oh my goodness.
That might be my favorite opening paragraph she's ever done.
Holy shit.
The start of the story makes almost as much sense as one created by a 4-year-old. That's when they start making up weird stories, right? I don't know. I hate kids. Jesus, DarkMika. Anyways, even though the opening is just so silly, the rest of the story is actually pretty good. It plays like a proper mystery. You have to go about finding clues, talking to people, and she even writes in her little notebook. It's all sorts of adorable. The occult stuff doesn't feel forced, which is great. Sometimes the occult stuff is put into stories and it just doesn't really work. Here's looking at you, the council. But in this one, it's done really well. The art isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. When things are shown at a distance, they become just blobs since it's a sprite game, which kind of sucks after all. You're really close up. Things look really cool, and most things even have a pretty decent amount of detail to them. Music is okay. I felt that if you set everything to max, the music was significantly louder than the voice acting, which was weird. Usually with everything maxed, games have music and voices about the same level, or the music is just a tiny bit more quiet. That being said, I always throw music down low anyway, so I didn't care. I only had 2 real issues with the game. One is simply that the character is slow as runny shit running down a tree in below freezing temperatures. Wow. What an analogy.
I am trying to process this.
Some point and clicks allow you to double click and exit to a room or the area and you just poof out of it immediately. This doesn't allow that. Kathy is not quick. This is a pressing matter she wants to get to the bottom of, and she does nothing but walk. I'm pretty sure I could propel myself in a rolly chair with nothing but a sail and the power of my own farts faster than Kathy can walk.
My God.
Jesus. Either an increase in her speed or letting the player double tap a door or exit to just us immediately. I don't know what the hell she's trying to say there. To immediately move Kathy out of the room would be fantastic. The other issue is that while the story is fun and interesting, it never did, even at the end, make any real sense. It's all kind of gibberish. It's said as though you're bought into the occult issue here because Grandpa, and he was bought into it because of the at least 2 people, it seems, but who brought them into it? Why is the occult thing here? Because of that, it feels like just one small fragment of a larger story that wasn't explained. As such, it left me with a bunch of questions at the end. More story, more diving into the past, more talking with characters, just something, anything to give us more understanding of what's going on in the world that would have helped. Like, the main story is to stop the occult people, the end. We don't know why they're occult people. We don't know what they're trying to do. We know almost fuck all and maybe jack shit.
Wow.
The character that just goes back to her normal life seemingly after this, and it's like there's so many unanswered questions that you should have, and you should be trying to figure this stuff out. There's no context. It's just these bad guys. Go deal with them. There's no, this is why they're bad. This is where they come from. Nothing like that. It's just bad guy because reasons unknown. For $15 on Steam, it took me about 6 hours to beat, and I needed to walk through a couple of times because the puzzles are logic puzzles and not physical puzzles. I'm good at one, but not the other. I'll let you guess which I'm good at. It's good. I suggest it. I just don't expect any world building. This is a tiny self-serving story. It's fairly good. The voice acting work is mostly good with only a couple poor VAs in the bunch. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty good try it.
Sounds good. Weird, but good.
That was probably one of her funniest write-ups.
Yes.
She has a way with analogies sometimes.
I'm impressed. I feel like I need to be taking lessons from Mika.
Jesus. Anyway, next game to talk about is called Attack of the Earthlings, developed by Team Junkfish, published by Wales Interactive, released March 5th on Xbox One and PS4 for $19.99. Take on Galactoil, a comically dysfunctional intergalactic energy corporation, and its larger-than-life employees in a tactical stealth game that fuses satisfying strategy gameplay and dark comedy in a quirky single-player story. Cole, tell us about this one.
So, quirky is a good way to describe this. It doesn't take itself too seriously. This is a turn-based strategy. Think along the lines of Mutineer Zero or games like that, where you have to move units around on a level and try to take out your enemies without getting fucked up first. The mega corporation Galactoil has landed on the planet X-13, and they're going to do what humans do best and just absolutely rape the planet for resources as much as they possibly can.
I'm going to stealthily open my soda.
Ninja'd it.
Yes, no one could tell.
So the alien species that lives on the planet, however, isn't willing to put up with any of that bullshit. And so you're going to take control of a matriarch alien. And you're going to use that matriarch and all of her abilities to fuck over Galactoil. You're going to start at the base of this operation, start taking out the drillers and the drills first, and then you're going to work your way up the corporate food chain. And you're going to eat everybody, is what I'm trying to tell you. Nice. There's value in eating the bodies. One, it keeps the other enemies from seeing that you're there. And two, it gives you biomass, which lets you spawn additional units. So it costs 4 biomass to spawn a unit, and then you can have that extra pair of claws and teeth at your disposal. So you're going to want to move around as stealthily as possible. There are vents that you can hide in. The matriarch cannot hide in vents, but she can hide in like storage boxes, which are oddly enough just perfectly sized for her and placed in convenient locations. Even the game mocks that that's a thing. But the little creatures that you spawn off, they can get in the vents, and they can actually use the vents to travel around the map and attack from different areas. So you can place them conveniently to attack. If you have other aliens spawned around, you can even use a group attack to go after the larger, more dangerous humans that can kill you more easily. Because some of them motherfuckers got guns. Wouldn't be humans if we didn't go to another planet with guns. True. And drill rigs. How very American of Galactoil. Shit. So if your matriarch dies, it's game over, and you have to try again. Fortunately, the game is like a shit ton of save points, and it will just save constantly. So you can just reload your last save and try again, or you can restart the whole level from scratch if you really fucked up. That's good. There will be times where you realize you have really fucked up and you can't fix it. And you just need to do over. Like I said, you'll want to eat the body so you don't get detected and stuff. But this kind of leads me to one of the biggest issues of the game, is that the characters and the units, they move so slowly at times, and they take so long to get into position that you can think you didn't put the code in, like input a command. Mm-hmm. Like you'll say, okay, I'm going to do an attack on this human. So you move your matriarch to the square behind him, and then you press for it to do an attack. And like the matriarch, if they've got to turn in any way to actually do the attack, they move so slow, and you have no indication for a good 3 or 4 seconds. You're like, do they even push the button? Is it going to do it? Is the enemy going to turn around and blast me? You just don't know. And then all of a sudden they'll finish the turn and then do the kill. And you're like, you could have done that 3 seconds ago. Oh, God. And there were a couple of times where I was trying to orchestrate larger group attacks, and I wasn't sure if it carried out properly. And then I would fuck up and get worried about it and try to input the command system again, only to like cancel what I had already done because I was impatient. If it was a little more real time, it would be better, so that you don't have to sit there and wonder if your shit actually went through. Yeah. That is really, by and large, the biggest complaint. My second complaint would be that the levels are fairly large, and you can you can zoom in and out some, and you can also move the camera around. You can rotate it. But the zoom is so limited that you can never zoom out full all the way to be able to see the whole level at once.
No.
And there's no map. So you're limited to however far you can zoom out and get as much as possible on the screen. And then you're still going to miss like a third of it. And it's incredibly frustrating to try to plan out the larger attacks. Or if you're in a position where you know you've got additional enemies somewhere, but because you don't have eyes on that part of the map, they're in a shadow. They're not near a light source. You can't see them. You don't have any way to plan how you're going to approach them, and you end up fucking around and dying because you just couldn't see. That's problematic.
Yeah.
For a strategy game, you want to be able to set your strategy out before you go into a room and get shot.
Very true.
So it's frustrating, but at least it's fast enough with the reloads that you can go back and try again, and at least you already know that time. But you shouldn't have to go die and then reload and then plan your strategy. Just being able, even so much, to zoom out so that you have the whole level in play at once would be useful. Beyond that, the game is absolutely chock full of humor. It's really funny that these people are in space on a mystery planet and they're getting fucked up by aliens, and yet they're running around in heart printed boxer shorts. And you're just like, whoever created this game didn't have very high opinions of the Galactoil people, and just pretty much made them caricatures. Goodness. But it is a lot of fun. It's really humorous, and I think this may have been my favorite for the week, even with its issues.
Oh, your pick of the week.
I think so. Yeah, because I just really enjoyed it, and I giggled the whole time. It was so fun to keep coming up with different ways to like have the aliens spawn and burst out of vents and attack people. It was hilarious. I was enjoying myself too damn much.
Nice. And even better, I said in the write-up that it was $19.99. It's $17.99.
Hey,
so
yeah,
I had my info wrong.
Nice. So yeah, this is an easy buy it. I had a lot of fun with it. It can be a little quick, but you can go back and challenge yourself and replay and try to do it in as few turns as possible. And each level has like a par, and you want to try to do it with the less steps, or the less turns, so that you make that par. Plus there's upgrades, so you can upgrade your aliens and stuff in between levels. You earn mutation points based on how well you did. So then once you're upgraded some, you can go back and do the lower levels again and get better times.
Awesome.
There's
Sounds
reasons
good.
to go back.
Replayability is always good.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yay! Good. Speaking of dicks.
Speaking of dicks, next game to talk about is called I and Me, developed by Wishfang, published by Ratalaika Games, released March 6th on Xbox One, PS4, and Vita for $9.99. If there were another me observing myself from the perspective of a spectator, how would I regard another me? How would I get along with the other me? Cole, what does that mean?
This means this is a game that tries to be super philosophical as a puzzle platformer. Yeah. So you're in control of two cats simultaneously. Have you ever heard yeah, I can't believe you don't have this.
I do have it. I'm just trying to play surprised.
Okay, then you almost had me. I was gonna say there's cats on the box, on the icon, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't have just bought it from that alone.
I did.
Do you feel called out? Do you feel attacked?
Yes.
But it's you ever heard the phrase herding cat?
Anyway. What do you do in I and Me?
So basically your goal is to herd these cats, which is just a horrible thing to try to do. The two cats move simultaneously, and you need to get them in picture frames that are in different places. So in order to do that, you have to use the level design in your favor in order to get them. Even though if you move left, they're both going to move left no matter where they are. But you can get it so that one is up against a wall so that when another one moves left, they get further apart, for example. Or if you move them so that one is up against the wall and the other one is still being able to move left or right, they can get closer. So you need to be able to either get them closer together, move them apart, get one up, get one down, based on how the level is laid out to get them so that they go to their respective frames. There are plenty of obstacles in your way, however. There are 4 seasons, each with 25 levels, so there's 100 levels overall. And each season has a different mechanic to adjust how you move around the world. If you jump, again, they're both going to jump. If you move left, they're both going to move left. So you need to consider both cats' placement in the world as you try to move them around. You're not as simple as, okay, I'm going to move left and the one's going to go into the frame and I'm going to move right and the other goes into the frame. You can't control them separately in any way. If you get one to the frame and then you move the other one toward its frame, the one that's already in its frame is going to get the fuck out of it.
Yep.
They're going to go. You can't just like lock down one and then worry about the other. You have to do them both at the same time. It is incredibly challenging. You may think you are clear of the spikes. You may think you have cleared the bumblebees. You may think you are clear of what other obstacles are in your way. You are going to fuck up.
Yeah, you are.
It's an enjoyable challenge, but it can wear itself out very quickly when you get stuck. And it's far better to play it in bursts and then go back to it and try, rather than to try and like sit and play it straight through like I was doing, like a jackass. Because I got to the point where I was like, this is the closest in my life I've ever been to not liking 2 black cats.
Oh, God.
I have 2 black cats. We know how much I love my black cats.
Yeah, you want Predator still, too.
I want Predator. Predator can come live with me so I can have 3 black cats. But this game was desperately making me question things. I was just getting incredibly frustrated. If you break it down and you only play a couple levels at a time, though, it's far more enjoyable. Because that breaks up the repetitive nature of it, too, because you do find yourself overusing the mechanics. And the music is horribly repetitive. I think there might be one song on loop the whole time. No thanks. Mute the game sound.
I didn't have a problem with the music. It didn't bother me.
It's very relaxing, which you need.
They just need more songs.
But it's just the one thing over and over. And I tear out with repetitiveness very quickly. So I did end up finding myself like muting it and playing my own soundtrack. This is a very different game when you're putting Incubus's Nimble Bastard behind it.
I knew it would be Incubus. I was going to say, let me guess, Incubus.
It's a very different game when you're listening to Nimble Bastard. But I did have a good time with it, and I do think it's impressive that there's 100 levels. It's just a shame they get repetitive quickly. It might be a little too much, and maybe it would have been better if it was shaved down to maybe 10 levels or so per level, as opposed to trying to fit in 25. There are collectible letters. It's all very cryptic and tries to be philosophical. I think there might be some language barrier involved, some lost in translation, because some of it you're reading these notes and you're just like, I don't even know that made sense, but it was words and it did a thing, and here we go. I think if you can get through all the levels, it's a fairly easy completion, at least. And at I think it's $5, right? It's Rattle.
$10.
$10.
$10.
Rattle. Well, there's certainly plenty of content there for
100 stages for $10.
Yeah, you're gonna have time put into it, but and it's definitely a challenge. It's just that, again, like I said, the it's a little repetitive, music and level design wise, but there are some levels that are incredibly unique, and you're just like, wow, this is really well thought out, and this is a challenge, and this is good. And then there are others where you're like, okay, I did it in 3 seconds. Next. So a little pruning would have been good, but well, otherwise,
overall, $10. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I would give it a buy it. It's definitely, it plays well, it controls well. It's a challenge, and it's not bad.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, it has cats.
Yay!
Dude, and they're my favorite.
Final game to talk about tonight is called Bad North, developed by Plausible Concept, published by Raw Fury, released August of last year on Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 for $14.99. Bad North is a charming but brutal real-time tactics roguelite. Defend your idyllic island kingdom against a horde of Viking invaders as you lead the desperate exodus of your people. Command your loyal subjects to take full tactical advantage of the unique shape of each island. Checking this one out, and things are about to get weird. George is here. George, Cole,
Hey.
have you met each other?
Hello, Cole. It's a pleasure to meet you tonight.
Are we doing this again because you didn't record when we did it 20 minutes ago?
Has it been 20 minutes already? I've completely lost track of time. I've just been standing here in a dark room. It's a little bit disconcerting.
I'm trying to establish the fact that this is one cohesive recording, and George just came here, but Cole, you're still around. That's what I'm trying to get with the narrative here.
Yeah, but we try to make it sound like it's a legitimate thing, but it's never a legitimate.
No, it's not. It's not.
Please don't delegitimize our claim here. I mean, we're on to something, okay?
Well, we're on something. I don't know if we're on to something, but we are on something.
We are.
Yeah!
Oh, man.
You know,
So, George.
Yeah!
How's
What's
Bad
up?
North? How's Bad North?
I actually thought at first you said Bad Norg. And I
Bad
was
Norg,
like,
yeah.
I thought that too. I was like, wait.
Bad Norg or Bad Dale North?
This
I'm
is a game about me!
Well, I mean, you wanted the game, so I guess it could be about you.
Did, because the previews looked super sexy, and I really wanted to take a crack at it. And when you said the description, how did you refer to it as brutal? But what was it?
Brutal real-time tactics roguelite.
Brutal, yeah, brutal. Oh man, they did not. This game does not pull any punches. Let me tell you. I suppose I should save the buy it, try it, or fuck it for later. I mean, let's keep. Oh, that's right. We're supposed to legitimize things.
Yes.
I'd almost forgotten about that rule. Okay.
Oh, George.
Stop it. So, I think this time around, I'm just going to rattle on because first, right out of the gate, this game is a shitload of fun. I had a ball getting my entire ass kicked repeatedly by an AI that relatively cheats, and I'm okay with that because I don't think games should be too easy, and I don't think they should hold your hand while you walk through the flower fields and it's all comfortable and stuff. No, games should not be comfortable. There should be a little bit of pain and sometimes a little bit of suffering involved.
Oh God.
And I'm totally okay with that. So I've actually put in some hours into this game already. This is going to be one of those ones where I'm going to go back and I'm going to continue playing it because it is pretty slick. The basic mechanics are you have these army commanders and they are trying to defend an island from invaders. And you travel from island to island and you defend each island from island's population from invaders. And in the event that you are able to successfully fend off the invaders, the local populace will reward you with coins. You then use those coins to upgrade your commanders, and your commanders can take on one of three shapes. They can either be just generic fighter dudes with swords and shields, and those shields come in very handy when the attackers have bows and arrows, and the arrows just lightly bounce off of the shields. It's just beautiful. It's like you go and your guys stand there on the island like, yeah, what else you got? Fuck! And then you have the next type of character is the pikemen, where they carry really long sticks and they poke hilariously at the enemies from a moderate distance, which is nice. The pikemen don't do so good against the boats coming in with bows and arrows because the guys with the bows and arrows are going thum, thum, and the guys with the pikes are trying to stop the arrows with their sticks. And I can tell you how not good that goes. So there's a little bit of, you're already beginning to feel like there's a little bit of strategy involved in this, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then finally, you yourself may also have archers. And I love archers. I love having archers because they shoot arrows at things that are from a distance before they can get to your island. Now, each of these particular types of characters, the pikeman units, the archers, and what are they? The sword and shield guys. I'm not remembering anymore. They can all be upgraded. They, on certain islands, can acquire items that will either bolster their skills or give them more numbers in each of their units, or give them bombs or special weapons. But their base attack can be upgraded with the coins that the local populace gives you for saving their shanties from being torn asunder by the invading armies. And as you continue on, the enemies get a little bit more difficult. You start running into scenarios where the enemy boat comes in with like 20 dudes that are ready to flay you alive.
Against how many of you?
Your units each have 9. Now, eventually, as you go on, you can have a maximum of 4 commanders at any one time. So you could theoretically have 36. I was led to believe there would be no math. And when you array them correctly, you can generally handle almost everything the game throws at you. The game does have multiple skill levels. There is easy and normal and hard. And hard is just like putting your genitals in a vice. Oh
God.
So I stayed away from that mode because I wanted to enjoy this game at first.
I thought you said you didn't want us to hold your hand. You lied to us.
I don't want my hand held, but I also don't want my hand defecated upon. There's a difference.
You lied to us. You lied to us.
I am not a liar. I am not a crook. I am not a crook. I am not Roger Stone.
Oh, God.
Oh, he went there. Okay.
Topical reference. That'll not make sense in like 2 months.
Circle back. Okay. So there we were. The pikemen go really good against the heavily armored dudes because the heavily armored dudes will come off of a boat and they will pimp slap your sword and shield guys. Like literally, they will get off the boat and you'll watch as they just go whoosh, and your dudes get launched. They can wipe out an entire unit in nothing flat. Whereas the pike people will just poke sticks at them and get through their armor and eventually knock them flat. I also discovered that fully upgraded archers can take care of those heavily armored guys from a distance before they get to the island and wreck your shit. So there is definitely a degree of strategy. It gets more difficult, especially when you have multiple ships coming in from multiple sides of the island, and you start scrambling and running around and trying to figure out who's going to do what and when. There's no real effective pause in the game, but when you are switching between units, it slows the game down tremendously to give you kind of enough of a breather to be able to pretend like you can do decent decision making and then throw your dudes at the enemy and hope that you don't death.
Sounds good.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was worth holding out for. And eventually I was just going to get it myself. And then you told me there was an opportunity to review it. And there was no way I was going to say no to that.
And I'm glad you didn't, because now you're on the show and that's always good. So I'm kind of confused. You normally hit us up with good, bad, and ugly, but we didn't get any of those. Were you going to do those?
No, I just decided to ramble today.
Aww.
That's the Cole approach to a review.
Just ramble for 20 minutes.
Yep. Eventually, you'll hit all the points that you have in your notes.
See, now I don't know if you're done describing everything because I'm so used to you having your formula.
Okay, well, I'll give you short formulas. The ugly. There's no ugly. That's kind of rare.
Ha.
I got you.
Gotcha, sucker.
Yeah, there's no ugly in this game. The bad, I would say, is the ramp up time in order to fully upgrade your units and some of their skills. That takes a while, and I never fully got a handle on being able to manage multiple commanders per turn. That seemed a little more difficult because of the upgradedness of everything. By the time you get to so you can use 4 commanders per turn. Eventually you get more than 4, like you can have up to 7 or 8 or whatever. But they typically are not upgraded. So what you end up with is a scenario where you don't have strong enough commanders to run 2 different armies per turn, and you eventually get the shit slapped out of you. So I never quite figured that out. The ramp up to the point where you can actually do that versus how upgraded your opponents are seemed a little bit skewed and off kilter. So what I ended up doing was I just went at it with the 4 maximum upgraded ones and ran with it from there. I probably missed some opportunities as a result of that. The other bad that I could think of was as you get close to the end of things, I never fully made it to the end of things, but as you get close to the end of things, the difficulty level spikes in what feel like unnatural ways, and you once again get the shit kicked out of you, and then you get to start over at the very beginning. And again, I reiterate that I do not like having my hand held, but I also am spoiled, and I've gotten used to the idea of something to the effect of saving your game and maybe not going full Ninja Gaiden where you have to go back to the beginning of the game to start over.
I told you he's fun to have on. I like the comments. Carnage saying they should have called it Good North, and then Doc Havoc saying it goes from hard to I hope you brought lube.
It's the natural progression of things. It goes from soft to hard.
Well, I understand that reference.
Do you?
I would hope you do. You have 3 kids.
Yes.
Aren't kids awesome? My kid has been on one of these reviews before. Remember that one, Joe?
Oh, God. Yeah, that was awesome.
I remember I coached her to say, okay, you can't be shy and quiet in this. You have to be a little more assertive. And she just exploded and was deliciously obnoxious the entire... It's like she was my kid or something.
Yeah.
It was great. Okay, so circling back. The good. There's a lot of good in this game. One more bad thing. It got a little monotonous after a while. And for people who aren't me, that would seem a little bit like a turn off. But I enjoyed the game so much that, okay, I'm on another island. There's wind blowing. There's water around it. There are dudes coming on boats trying to kick my ass. I'm enjoying this. So I just rolled with it, and I was really digging it. I can see where people who aren't me may get bored of that. Okay, so I think that's the end of the bad. There's a lot of good. The sound effects are great. They're minimalistic. The rogue-like aspect of this is a ton of fun because you don't know entirely what you're going to get each time. The overall minimalistic feel of it is a super joy of actually playing. The fact that you can zoom in and out and look at details when you want to, or zoom back to get a better view of what's happening as ships come through the fog. I love that level of flexibility. The gameplay is pretty basic in terms of what you're supposed to do, and you very quickly figure out what units work best against what opponents. And finally, under good, it's a lot of fun. There. Do you feel better now?
Yes, I do. So now I can properly ask $14.99 on this one. What do you think?
Ooh, buy it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I've been eyeing this one up myself, so I think you convinced me.
Excellent. I've done my duty.
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 Oh, God. Cole, do you have any questions for him before we wrap up?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, that is it for this episode. George, thanks for coming on and doing this. Thanks again to Jacob for coming on earlier and talking about DOA. I hope he shows up because I'm recording this first and he's last. So fingers crossed he shows up. If not, this is going to sound stupid. I love recording shows out of order. It's so fun.
That was
Hooray.
totally my fault this time.
No, it still would have been out of order.
I'll take my ass whooping on it.
I'm sure we'll have talked about that earlier in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Undoubtedly.
It's a paradox.
Oh, I love it. George, thanks again for coming on. Do you have any final words to end the show?
Duty!